What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show about all the kick-ass stories behind some idle champions, coolest campaigns, and characters. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games, or later on your favorite podcast service, B. Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the idle champions lore that's fun to know about. If you're with us live in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show, but until then, Erin, B. Dave, take it away.
Hi, I'm Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the Brimstone Angels saga, a 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms, featuring 3 of your favorite Idle Champions, Frida Havlar and Mehen. Also a content designer for Idle Champions, and I play Cecilia on Dungeon Scrawlers. Sorry. We were having a conversation about why our Twitter tag is Dungeon Scrawl, because actually Dungeon Scrawlers is too many letters. Someone else had Dungeons Crawl.
Yeah,
So
that's why. That's why the Black Dice Society is the Black Dice SOC. Yep. Same reason. It was just too long. Yep. Hi. Speaking of too long, B. Dave Walters. I say words about things. You can find me all over the interwebs, wherever fine streaming content can be located, and non-ironically on TV on G4 for Invitation to Party.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yes. So we're gonna talk about familiars today because there's a lot of them in
case you're unfamiliar.
Very nice. Very nice.
Also,
Also, because there's a new show coming.
Well, maybe.
Wait. Can we talk about that? I don't know.
It's on Twitter.
We'll leave it vague. There may be some sort of familiar thing going on in there. So we'll see what happens.
Why are we being coy about it?
Because we haven't.
Anyway, okay.
I'm like Aaron.
Okay, fine.
Aaron. It's
Whatever.
Hollywood. Be coy. Be coy. I don't know if y'all saw.
Don't look on Twitter. It's not being coy. Okay.
That's how long I've been in this business. I know the show. I know everyone who's in it. I know everything about it. And Trevor's like, oh, and I'm like, well, whatever. Who knows? Right. Yeah.
We'll get to that one later. So there's a lot of familiars in the game, but also familiars is a thing that happens a lot in games, especially if you have magically inclined people in your party. I thought that would be a good place for us to start first before diving into any specific familiar from the game or anything like that. How do familiars work in Dungeons and Dragons?
In general, a familiar is a more intelligent but less powerful assistant. Like if you've got a bear that goes and fights, that's more of an animal companion or a pet. A familiar is usually smaller, but again, usually smarter. So it might be an imp, a quasit, a sprite, a pixie. It might even be a snake. There's different ways you can get them. Wizards in particular and some other classes have access to a spell called Find Familiar, where you straight up summon a little homie that'll be there with you. A lot of warlocks get them on Invitation to Party. That's why Igneous has Fee, who's his quasit. But there you go. Yes, Aaron. I was just starting out with that part of it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Find Familiar, Pact of the Chain. You get a little buddy. And it is different from an animal companion. So like in D&D terms, Zuni is not actually a familiar because she's too big.
She's outside the size category.
Not smart enough.
Yeah,
if you do,
she's very smart. Zuni is, but we'll come back to why Zuni has a Russian accent, by the way, in case you guys haven't heard that story. But I will say, from a mechanic standpoint, in 5th edition, they don't scale very well. They're usually incredibly useful for about the first 3 levels, disproportionately so, and then they get massively outpaced. Like they become very squishy, and the things they do don't
but by
grow
then
with you.
you're attached to them.
Right. So you're like, get behind me, stay behind my head, don't let anything happen to me. Yeah.
My sister-in-law once had a wizard. It was a little gnome named Knick-Knack. and she had a spider that was her familiar. And as y'all know, I'm such a big fan of those. So having to describe every time it moved around for her scouting missions, I was like, I hate it.
I had a stream. For those of you that go way back with me, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to name any names. One of the very earliest streams I did, I had someone that played a wizard and they had a mouse for a familiar. And I was like, I'm gonna kill the mouse, right? And they were like, you can't. I'm just like, well, I can. And they were like, you can't. I was like, no, I really can, and they were adamant that no harm must come to the mouse ever. And I was like, you're taking the mouse into a war zone. Like, you're going to catch a fireball at some point. Like, you just will. And what do you think's going to happen to the mouse? And they got very emotional about this fact. So that mouse had all the plot armor in the world of why it just
was that an
lived
earlier
through
edition?
Oh, this is one of the very, 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 very first things I ever did.
Because now, if I remember correctly, in 5th edition, Find Familiar, you can just bring the familiar back.
Yeah, because it's not actually an animal. It's a spirit that takes the form of the animal. It's a fiend or a celestial or a fae.
Just so... Yeah, no, in this instance, it was somebody who had, because of their background, they had a pet, but it functioned similarly though. Yeah, but you're right. With Find Familiar, you can just bring them back, but that doesn't necessarily feel good when, like, I mean, unless you send them with the Violet Greek fire and you're all like, the blessings of Asmodeus upon you.
I actually didn't know that about the
crouching of an imp being made to do that. It's like, I hate you.
Like, you know what this is.
But I didn't realize that the familiar was specifically like a spirit or a fiend or a face spirit, because I was actually going to ask specifically, well, like, what happens when currently in 5th edition a familiar dies? Like, what happens to them? Do they just get pulled back into a plane, or?
So, according to the spell, it can't attack. It disappears and leaves no physical form if it gets to 0 hit points. If you dismiss it, it goes to a pocket dimension and waits for you. And
it's a Pokeball.
Yep, basically. It'll faint and return to the Pokeball if you get to 0 hit points. But you can only have one. You can't, like, double up.
I think that'd be so cool if you could, though, and you had just like just rolled around like a Pokemon trainer in Faerun. Go Cambion! No, not Cambion. Quasit. Go Quasit. That'd be funny as hell.
But you could get a very small Cambion.
That's true. Itty bitty Cambion.
Yeah, great cosmic power. Itty bitty Cambion.
So you were saying that Wizard and Pact of the Chain can get familiar. So
sorcerers can too.
Sorcerers.
I mean, there's a few ways. Yes,
so it's not specifically though, like, class specific. So, like, if I was a fighter, took, like, Magic Initiate and took Find Familiar, I could be a fighter with a familiar.
I don't know that Magic Initiate would get you high enough, but there's ways. I mean, there's ways. The point, if your jam was like, I must be Minsk and Boo, for instance. Yeah. You can get it done. You just need to talk to some technically proficient min-maxing monster. That might be able to
audio listeners, he's absolutely not pointing at him.
No, not me. I was pointing at Erin. Erin, so talk to Erin. She'll hook it up for you. Yeah. Also, audio listeners are missing out because Erin looks particularly pretty today. So maybe you should do both. I'm just saying, maybe
put the podcast in your ear, put the TV on mute, time them up.
Done. Both. Why not? Or don't time them up. Make us look like a kung fu movie. Yeah. I'm like,
exactly. So is there any mechanically in the game, is there any, like, really interesting stuff besides just, I have a little animal friend, they go and do stuff? Like, is there any other interesting stuff about them?
Oh, sure. I mean, again, the issue is they don't scale well. Like, for instance, I know on the Quasit has an ability where they can cause fear, for instance, right? But the save to resist that is 10, which if you know anything about the game, even if you don't know anything about the game, that's nothing. Like on a scale of 1 to 20, you comprehend where 10 lay. And
Half
that
of all people are like, what's happening here?
Right. Yeah. But the other half are like, that cricket thing is yelling at me. Yeah. So that's if anything, that was, I'm surprised. Well, previous editions of the game had things like greater find familiar and things like that where you could summon stronger things. So it was definitely a conscious choice to kind of perpetually always just have a chihuahua, basically. Yeah.
You're in the little carrying case.
Yeah.
I suspect this is something that a lot of DMs might be a little flexible about because it is so fun having a little animal companion, except if you're like, also it casts fireball.
Right.
That's probably not gonna work.
Right.
But just stuff like I will say the kids in my Witchlight campaign, as like, my son is playing a fairy monk. He picked the noble background, so he has retainers, but he said, can my retainers be squirrels?
Oh,
His retainers are awakened squirrels, and so he will do things like ask if the squirrels can go spy for them.
First of all, never change.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's adorable. The squirrels are they're finding out the squirrels are really not very smart. So they're not ideal. But also, like, I'm fine with letting him do more things with the squirrels because it's engaging him with the game, and the squirrels are cute and they laugh when I do the stupid squirrel voice. So
Wait, time out. Hang on, time out. Pause. As somebody who regularly has to do stupid squirrel voices, now I gotta hear it. I gotta hear it.
So they asked the squirrels who were named Ziggy and Zaggy to go spy on Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, but they didn't really get specific. So they came back and they're like, done. They're like, well, what did you hear? They're like, they went inside. There was talking. Nuts, please.
I love that they're constantly yelling.
Yeah, they only yell. Yelling, white eyes, big pauses. That's my secret squirrel.
I really want to take that scene from Parks and Recs with "Money, please" and just put that audio over it.
Valid, very valid squirrels.
The bard character I forget why he wanted why I always said it was okay for him to have a companion, and I let him have a campestry. He did not realize the campestry only can say what it's heard already, so that gets interesting. And it sings it. They're not the best spies, but they're working it out. They're figuring out. And this is also like their default is there's a thing. Let's try and murder it. And I'm trying some
parties
to
like
teach
that.
I was about to say, I'm sure they'll outgrow that.
Nah, see the main thing I want is like this is a sidebar, sorry. We were playing Dungeon of the Mad Mage and they kept running into things that they needed to slow down and think about, and they just threw themselves at it every time. So they like made it through one of those portals to a higher level, and they met like a drow raiding party and clearly heard more drow raiding party in the next cave. And they did not know there was still further drow and Quaggoth nest. And they were like immediately, like, they didn't even want to talk. They wanted to throw spells. And I'm like, guys, this is going to end badly. This is a teaching moment, but also I'm afraid you're going to cry. So I'm grateful for Witchlight for being like, nah, that's not how you solve these problems. Just learn other ways. Later, you can murder things.
Yes. One of the things that you said earlier was that they're a little bit smarter. How smart can a familiar be?
Highly smarter than the average person. In fact, I would be remiss if I didn't point out my very favorite familiar, all the way back to the earliest editions of the game, all the way back to 2nd edition, is the pseudo dragon. I love that. It's a dragon the size of a kitta.
They eat apple pies.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's fairy dragons. Are they different?
That's fairy dragons. Yeah, that's not the same thing. Yeah.
Sorry. They could still eat apple pies.
I mean, a pseudo dragon would probably,
but...
you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say pseudo dragons still eat apple pies. That's what I'm going to say.
They can eat other things too, though. I'm fine with that.
They can bite and they can sting. And it's, And it's a dragon the size of a cat, which sells itself,
Yes.
honestly. If that were a creature that exists, you could charge nearly unlimited amounts of like real world resources. If tomorrow you could breed cat-sized dragons, you're like,
Yes.
they're $2 million each. People be like, okay.
All right. Please put me into as much debt as possible. I will take one.
Exactly. I would like to finance a pseudo dragon. Yeah. Yeah. Most of the fine familiar creatures are all intelligent. And when I say intelligent, again, that's at least 10. An average human has an intelligence of 10. So if you do find familiar, you have access to an imp, a pseudo dragon, a quasit, or a sprite. Imps imps and quasits are very similar, but quasits are invisible by default, which is very useful. Imps and quasits are shape changers, and I think imps can shape change too, but they shape change into different stuff. And then you got a pseudo dragon, which is a dragon the size of a cat, and then you got a sprite, which is like Tinkerbell, basically. But what sprites have advantageous. Sprites are one of, if there's a very short list, it might be the only way. There might be two ways to actually know a target's alignment. Sprites can do that. There's actually not a lot of ways in 5th edition to know someone's alignment. You can know if they're good or bad, but specifically be like chaotic evil, lawful neutral, whatever. Sprites can do that. Almost nothing else can. So pending your character, that's actually something useful where you're like, get in there and tell me if I need to roll this guy up or not, you know? And they're like, he's good. He's just sad.
He just sad.
You know? Yeah. And then with the standard,
I feel like that's how I could describe a lot of Dark Souls NPCs.
But the standard find familiar, not the Pact of the Chain find familiar, is a bat, a cat, a crab, a frog or a toad, a hawk, a lizard, an octopus, an owl, a poisonous snake, a fish could be a familiar, a rat, a raven, a seahorse, always a seahorse, a spider, or a weasel. But when it summons, it comes as an undead, or not undead, as a celestial, fey, or fiend. So you can have a fiendish seahorse.
Yes. What is thy bidding, master?
Fiendish Seahorse is my metal cover band version of Aqua.
I'm a Barbie girl.
I love it.
Yeah, legally distinct. Yeah.
Sorry, that would almost kill me. Just beating a Barbie girl. Oh god, our mod who is Mars today put in the chat, fiendish seahorse on sketching hour win.
Now you all know what to do.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, what I want to put out there for the chat right now is I want you to tell me what your favorite familiar in Idle Champions is and why. Only one. Ooh. If you put more, I'm only reading the top one. Yep. So yeah, put in chat who your favorite is and why. Mars, don't worry about grabbing. I got my phone, so I'm not gonna make you about to copy and paste a billion things.
I got a favorite, but I'm not gonna say which one is my favorite because I don't want to put my finger on the scale.
Oh, obviously, I have a favorite. So,
well, you know what? Actually, while they're putting stuff in, how about this, Erin? You said you may or may not have a TED Talk
about the best girl. Yes,
you can have Zuni as a familiar. She's a puppy version because otherwise she would just absolutely take up the whole screen. So Zuni, or Azunarella the Devourer, as her full name, is
Christian
a Nessian or Christian.
You only call her that when she's in trouble.
So she's a Nessian warhound, which is a breed of hellhound. It is the cavalry of the 9 hells, so they're the size of draft horses. They have their fur is really thick and fireproof, which is good because they breathe fire. And Zuni in particular has a drooling problem. That's sort of
it's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, it's very handy. This was given to Havilar in Fire in the Blood when she was trying to track down the Prince of Cormyr, because she has sort of a familiar situation in that because she, spoiler alert, is sort of a chosen of Asmodeus, she gets these imps that show up to help her. They are also in the game. That is Mott and Dembo and Alla and Bosch. And of course they fling themselves. They do the Greek fire thing that in the game. That's what they do. They throw themselves at monsters and explode.
Can I just say, just as an aside, one of the first times we were playing together and you were playing Havilar and you were like, "Can I summon my imps?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And you were like, "Which ones show up?" I'm like,
You're like,
"You tell me which ones show up."
No, paint me a picture, DM.
Right.
Paint me a picture.
I was like, now I gotta make 4 distinct imps that somehow match what you have in your head that we haven't discussed before right now. And
do you know what I love about every time I've played Havilar and the imps have shown up? For some reason, every DM I've played with gives them a New Jersey accent. Independently. Like, I don't think that, like, because it's you and it's Satine and it's Mark Humes that have their recording. So you can go see this happen live. And I don't think you guys compared notes on this. That would be weird. But independently, everybody's like, they feel New Jersey accent.
What area of Avernus are they from? New Jersey.
The Lower East Side of Avernus.
But specifically, she's like, I need something that can track someone. And they're like, got it. So they give her an Essien Warhound puppy because they try. They're really good at trying. And so Zuni basically imprints on Havilar. And the thing is that the first thing you want in a cavalry mount is that it listens to orders, right? You want lawful first, and the evil is a side effect because it needs to do what you say.
Yeah.
So it does what Havilar says. She also likes to, you know, it's great to be a hero with this because she will chase down the guy you're fighting and grab him by the throat and shake him and bring him back. And you want that. Just, you know, she's got to wear a muzzle sometimes because that pursuit instinct can come out when you don't exercise her enough. But in the game, she's an adorable puppy.
It's true. And it was one of my favorite familiars ever.
No, it's funny. You said we didn't compare notes, and that is true. But the reason why Zuni has a Russian accent is the first game that we played together with Satine, when my character Freely cast Speak with Animals. Satine replied to her in a Russian accent inexplicably. Because that's where we were. This is how she sounds now. And then I did carry that over. That's why it's Zuni's Russian accent. That's what a Nessian accent sounds like. Yeah.
There we go.
Done.
Canon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to go through here and see what some of chat's favorite familiars are, and if we got any interesting things about them as we go through it, we can talk about those. The real Bunny Beast is first. Just put small gelatinous cube. The small. It's so adorable. It's like a Roomba.
That's the name of the gelatinous cube in Dungeon Scrawlers.
That's right. I always forget about that. That's so true.
That's what they are. They're dungeon Roombas, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just always like the idea, though, of a picturing a gelatinous cube.
It lives in our basement.
Of picturing it slowly go by and just hearing. It's got a little port that it backs up into when it's done. Crazy Matt Captain Boo, because Boo, need I say more? No, you don't. Oh, Zoom cut you out.
Oh no! I got noise.
The jerks. But yeah, no, I love Boo. I specifically remember when I first started playing Idle Champions, and I opened up the gem shop, and it was just like Boo as a familiar. I went, that is my goal in life, not just in this game. Life, I will get Boo.
I can aspire to no greater. Yep.
I love Boo. He the best. Go for the eyes, Boo. Catch 23 says baby Spurt because he's actually 11 days old. That was such a great idea of a familiar. Final Rush Hoot with the game on high speed while listening to Infected Mushroom. All right. That is a thing to do. That's a thing to do. This is from Lorcamped? Tasha's cauldron is so jolly. It is true. I love that. That's like,
it is very cute.
Tasha, like, there's pictures of her in the book where she's atop of this, evil looking throne looking down with zombies and everything around her. And then it's a little cauldron with wings that hops around.
It's like they can't make their mind up with Tasha, man. It's like Igwil,
Oh, yeah.
ultimate evil. All right, Tasha, evil but informative. Okay. Zabilna, I'm your fairy godmother. Oh, all right. Also, I'm still terrible. Oh, okay. Right,
That's
Yeah.
a little hard to settle on.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Let's see. Q little entity. I like gelatinous cube because it's not super expensive and it has a dead person's bones in it.
That's a bonus. You get those for free.
It's true. It may be a dead person, but it could be a living skeleton. Let's see. Flourish.
You know, now I'm thinking about having a group get attacked by skeletons in a gelatinous cube, like power armor, basically.
Oh.
Whoa.
It's still doing its thing with all cube. Or
Oh
whatever.
man, you know, I never really thought about like combining monsters, like almost in like a transformer sort of way. Or, like,
Symbiotic
power armor.
relationship.
Because now I'm thinking like,
Spark.
okay, but like now what about a living skeleton with like a mimic over it?
Well, yeah.
Interesting.
And see now, because I've been playing so much Dark Souls, you just get the chest over the head of the skeleton and then opens up into the mimic mouth.
Nature is healing.
Nature is healing. Foolish Genius 89. Mike and Sprout because my wife got it for my Xmas. Oh, that's so cute.
It's Puff.
It's
Puff.
Piff.
Sorry.
Let's see. Lurking Rider, Star the Displacer Beast, Kitten, parentheses, but Baby Tia what needs to exist in the game. Are you familiar with Tia what? Have you heard about this? This is from the other show, Sketching Hour.
I feel like I'm about to find out about.
Oh
it.
yeah, you are, and I want to get your feelings live.
I know. I want to
Excuse me.
watch this. I want to watch this happen.
It seems like some heresy is about to happen here.
I gotta.
I mean, it's fun heresy. Does that count?
I'm like, get the flamer, brother, the heavy flamer.
Oh God, I gotta see if I can
will-
find a link to it. Lauren, if you're in the chat, send it to me on Mattermost because I don't know where it is. But B
I will-
needs to see it.
I will ruin the show. I need you to know that. Yeah.
Oh wait, I can search. Okay, but anyway, let's
Here,
read the next.
I'll talk to Aaron. I'll stall.
Okay,
Aaron,
stall.
Aaron,
Oh.
Aaron and I will stall.
Yes.
Hi,
What's
Aaron.
your favorite familiar? Because you didn't get to say.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's Iris for certain. It's my favorite darling. I just love her so very much. You know,
Love Iris.
I think I shared with you guys before that when I knew Iris was going to be in the Unfair Seas because we had the Pirate Iris thing coming out, I wanted to introduce her into the story early, but I had to make her
Got
as
it.
non-threatening as possible because she's a beholder. So I
Right.
was like, she's little, she's a beholder. And she's the freaking company mascot, by the way. So I was like, I can't mess this up. But that's what came to mind. That she's just like this supportive grandmother, darling. That's all she is. She's like, I could hit you with my disintegrate ray, but I won't. You know. But,
Okay.
no.
I have put Tia what in the chat. And I'm going to, for people in the chat right now, I'm going to put an image up on the screen of what it looks like. Because you all need to see it. B-Dave's face! This is bringing me so everyone, here is Tia what? Oh, it's a PNG too. That's even better. Yes, this is the lovely
What?
Tia what. So to explain this a little bit, what happened was the main redhead was first, and then Alexis and Michelle were given two different combinations of things, like Leafy Eagle, Hairy Umbral Hulk. I think this was like Toothy
Knoll?
Weasel. Yeah,
Looks
Toothy
like a
Knoll. And then I think this was like Fiery Cockatrace or something like that. But yeah, so they had to make the other heads of it look like that. I just love B-Dave staring intently at this.
We broke him. Well, you broke him. I was just an observer.
I was like, why does that centipede have such luxurious hair? Yeah,
Right?
that's,
Quite luxurious. It's like my little Umber Hulk.
My little
What-
Umber Hulk.
So here's the thing: Umber Hulks are actually my favorite monster. So this is combined. This is giving me a lot of complex feelings.
It's
right
like
now.
if an Umber Hulk was in a L'Oreal commercial.
Yes.
It's like if an Umber Hulk was gonna date him, and I love him, and you just don't understand me, Dad. It stormed out dramatically. You know, like we're gonna get married.
But I do agree, Lurking Writer, Tia, what familiar would be great. I have no power over this. That's not me saying it will happen. I'm just also putting my vote in. But
You'll
yeah,
sign your petition.
yes.
I will tell you this. Tia What is an accurate description of what I'm observing.
Right? But yeah, Lurking Rider, Star the Displaced Beast Kitten is adorable and one of my favorite parts of Witchlight.
Star.
Oh yeah, the
Mhm.
voice you did for Star's mom was just so good.
Tilagrau, yes.
I don't.
In my kitten Star. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's way too good. Way too good. Let's see. This is Dracula. Dracula Draconis. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Snow Owl Pup, and they're adorable. The little itty bitty owl bear. Non-bread loaf. I always screw up how to say this. Almirage.
The Spiky the Almirage.
Yeah, the little unicorn bunny.
Oh yes.
Actually, the next sentence was the adorable unicorn bunny. Let's see. Lulu Snugglebud says obviously a little spurt because kobold. Everybody loves a kobold.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Camero 85 red panda bubbles because the red panda outfit. Of course.
Yep.
I'm gonna skip through a couple of these just so I can find some different ones. What? I don't even know this one. Is this one? Dan Robot Man says easily Clover the flower dragon parrot because
Yeah.
their fire breath is majestic AF. What? I need to now consult.
You know, the list.
Oh, it's one of the
Beautiful.
sketching
The
hour
sketching
ones.
hour
Yeah.
one,
Okay.
Hoot and Clover, I believe, are both sketching hour.
Hoot and Clover. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Balkan 25. As a fan and friend of dragons in general, any dragon familiar is my favorite. Of the dragon familiars, Baby Bahamut is my favorite. I may or may not have read it phonetic.
Baby Bahamut looks very smug for how tiny he is. I'm just gonna say that.
He never outgrows it.
Oh gosh. And then Evil Emperor Zerg, the gift wrap mimic, because mimic! Ooh, have the mimic change shape into JCM song. Oh man. But yeah, so those are fantastic picks, chat. My favorite has to be the pirate parrot, also well known as Treavor.
Treavor the pirate parrot. Yep.
Who I may or may not go into the menu specifically to pull out every time. Everyone else just gets dropped at random. But yeah, so I just love familiars. They're so cute. But Erin and I have pulled up the big list of familiars. And
the big list of familiars.
Sounds like a great Nickelodeon game show. Like from
Honestly.
the 90s, yeah.
We were talking before, a bunch of these came out of Idle Champions Presents.
Mm-hmm. Which ones were those specific?
To which I have to say you're welcome.
Right?
Mhm.
Everybody say thank you now
Mm-hmm.
for gifting us these things like Puff and Red the Squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
Cinnamon.
Bubbles, Cinnamon, Treavor, the pirate
Yeah, sure.
parrot, the fancy red panda. Although I think Mark gets some credit for fancy red pandas a little bit because he did come up with that.
The flavor text is
Bananas
literally
nonsense.
always good for a distraction. Bailoff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about Isle Champions Presents is just finding out what familiars are going to get added from it because they're always fantastic.
The fancy skins and then the red panda skins also was like very but just pushing that. I was like, I'm gonna make this image come to life so vibrantly that it must get added to the game. It must be. Yeah. And then they get
found it funny. They're like, what if fancy but also red panda?
I was like, that wasn't the thing, but okay. Yeah, right. I'm like, it's Freely's wearing bell bottoms and a butterfly collar with a red panda head because that's where we live now. Yeah, okay, sure.
So I actually managed to remember a question I had in my head before the show even started. That is a big thing for me.
Congratulations.
So there's a
Proud of you.
lot of like varied creatures in Idle Champions that are familiars. Ones that definitely are not on that list that B Dave read earlier. Running a game, what would be like if someone came to you and was just like, I want this as a familiar? Like, I want to know, like, what is the most extreme you would be okay with and what you would just straight up say no at?
So remember, I was talking about the fact that they don't scale, right? Most of them are they're all CR 1/4 creatures, right? So if you play the game, that means they're very squishy. If you don't play the game, it still means they're very squishy. So if they're CR 1/4 to start, I would say almost anything that was like 1/4 of your level. You know what I mean? Like if you were level 8,
Makes
I
sense.
probably would allow something as high as 2. You know, like if you're level 20, I'd probably allow something as high as 5 because it's still relative to you
And that's
going
a
to be lagging.
lot of options.
It is a lot of options.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like my dire celestial warthog, Prozac. Because he'll level you right out.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Level you right out.
Yeah. All right.
feel
That
like
would be my thing. Yeah.
It kind of depends too on who's asking, because like the player who's, you know, looking for all of the corner cases and like how can I maximize the damage I do is different from the person who's like, I want a pretty pony.
Yes.
You want a pretty pony and you want a nightmare to be your familiar, and I can trust you not to like turn that into a massive advantage, because what you really want to do is brush its hair in the downtime.
Yep.
That's a lot easier to say yes to, right?
Oh yeah, like if any of you out there have listened to any of the multiverse games I've run, there will be a big difference between me saying yes to Cecilia for a familiar and Uthal for a familiar.
Don't say yes to Uthal.
Don't say yes to Uthal.
Also, Cecilia doesn't want a familiar. That's taking care of.
That should be the name of the sitcom. Don't say yes to Uthal. You're like da 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 da. You know? Yeah. Right.
I love
It's
it.
somehow a buddy cop and a situational comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cecilia has it's complicated familiar situation with a cat that she saved that neither of them wants to admit that they actually like have any affection for each other.
I mean, but she's also not a warlock, so there's lots of like rumors that are thrown around. That
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Why was Cyril talking about me?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I definitely would have I like B Dave's idea a lot of like it scaling with the level and
Yeah.
whatnot. I could see myself just for sheer ridiculousness being okay with some wild creature being a familiar somehow.
A baby Tarask, perhaps?
Oh god, the baby Tarask. I forgot about that one.
Mhm.
The baby Tarask.
Get your baby.
Be like, guess what? You can have a baby Tarask. Its carapace is not hardened yet. It's incredibly squishy. Don't
Mhm.
drop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if my players
Also,
found
it gives off a pheromone that summons its mother.
oh yeah.
You know, I've played that card a couple of times. She comes a running. Yeah.
Oh Lord, she running.
Oh Lord, she coming. Yeah. I did that with Chris Perkins. He's like, I thought there was only one. I'm like, they come from somewhere, Perkins. There you go.
It's true.
When I'm mommy Tarask loves a daddy Tarask.
Yeah,
or,
no, like
you know, a proud independent mommy Tarask that has her own career and goals, decides of her own free will to have a baby Tarask. You know.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see myself
What?
saying yes to some wild stuff.
Hang on a second.
Oh.
You didn't. Oh no, I guess you did say it was Treavor. I was about to say you didn't say what your favorite.
Oh
familiar
yeah,
is,
but I mean, like that is cheating, Treavor. But like, if there wasn't one that
cheating?
hasn't been named after me, it would be Boo. I just love Boo. Boo's the best.
Go for the eyes.
Go for the eyes, Boo. And yeah. Oh yeah, Lauren in the chat said Mommy Trash showed up in the game with Trevor was in the Dragons for Dinner. Yep. Todd playing a Tarrasque interacting with the Mommy Tarrasque was just so damn good. But let's hop over to questions and see what chat has been asking. Remember, you can still drop your questions in chat and our awesome mod Mars. I almost said our awesome Mars mod. We'll grab them, put them in the dock.
Hear me out though. Hear me out. We don't know that he's not modding the streams that are on Mars. So,
you know, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
There you go.
Cute
I
little
can sell anything.
Cute little entity says, hello, first time watching the segment. Can I get y'all's pronouns? And that's something I've actually been meaning to add to the overlay. I am he, him.
He, him.
And she. Oop, she, her.
So there we go. Yeah, but that's something that I've been meaning to add
I
to
didn't
the overlay.
realize it wasn't on the
Yeah, no,
sorry.
that's something I just got to add in there. I did it for Champion Psychology and somehow completely slipped my mind to do here. So thank you for the reminder.
I legit haven't seen the overlay in like 50 episodes.
Yeah, we're on episode 60. This is episode 60.
Do we pass Jason Charles Miller?
Oh,
He was being sassy
Mars,
about
let
that
me-
when he was on here before.
Mars, let me know what's the
About not letting us
episode that
pass
Bardic
him.
Inspiration's up to.
He's had some long layoffs. I think
Yeah.
we might have edged him. We might have edged him.
Nan Bread Loaf
It's
says
also a very good show. You should watch Bardic
You should be
Inspiration.
watching Bardic
you
Inspiration.
should be watching all C&E shows.
Especially the Freely episode of Bardic Inspiration. We have a song, you know.
Ye-
And
Brimstone Angels.
Brimstone Angels go go go. Yeah.
You
Mhm.
want to see me cry? That's a good episode where
It's
I
true.
cry.
Yeah.
Nan Bread Loaf says, how obedient are familiars? Would they be willing to combine would they be willing to combine portable holes with bags of holding? No reason, just wondering.
I mean, they do it once.
It does say they obey you.
It's
Yeah.
true.
So and I guess if there's no real fear of death since they're a summoned spirit, but that's another thing, you know, if you have if someone wants a familiar and the familiar is maybe a little overpowered, you could be like, okay, but it doesn't. And this is more I've done with like an animal companion. I played it in a game where I actually played Havilar's son, and he had Zuni's puppy, Lucy. And I didn't want to play a Beastmaster. They're like, play a Beastmaster Ranger. I'm like, no, he's definitely a fighter. He's definitely like a glaive fighter. They're like, okay, so you have this Nessian Warhound, and you have to roll animal handling every time you want it to do something. And I'm like, cool. I don't have great animal handling. This is going to be amazing. Lucy was not obedient. She was a lot.
Oh no. Oh, little Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
I
Or
do a
for
mulch.
Alusair, the Steel Regent.
I can report Bardic Inspiration last episode was episode 57. We have surpassed. We have surpassed.
Legally distinct.
Camero 85 question. In D&D, is Mage Hand just a spell or technically some form of a familiar too? And this probably comes up because Mage Hand does show up as a familiar in Idle Champions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Part
Mage
of me
Hand
is
is.
like,
Oh,
this
sorry.
is
Go
a
ahead.
great philosophical in-world conversation. Like wizards
Nah.
are like, is a mage hand a form of familiar? No, of course not, you fool!
Yeah.
But it does adhere to the main aspects of familiars.
I
You
could
know,
totally see some wild story way of making a Mage Hand a familiar.
It is both non-intelligent and temporary. However, one of the I saw it as a meme, but I've threatened to do it where it's like people talk about your first character. You're like, I'm a displaced prince from a faraway land
I love
seeking
this.
to get revenge and reclaim his title. I'm wounded by the unbearable guilt of the battles I faced. And then it's like most recent character, I'm a sentient ham sandwich carrier of a mage hand. And being a sentient inanimate object carried by a mage hand really may well be my next character. It may not be a ham sandwich, but I mean something. Yeah.
The
I would
tempta-
absolutely let someone have a smarter mage hand as a familiar, like thing,
like
thing.
it.
Is that it?
No thing. No, I
Yes.
think.
Oh,
you're right.
yeah,
I think it is
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Thing and cousin it, like
Yeah.
thing. So
Mhm.
it's like it just
Mhm.
talks to you with like sign and gestures, and it does stuff.
Evil Emperor
will
Zerg
just
brings
say-
up in the chat, a mage hand can be a living spell in Eberron.
That is true.
Yes, it can.
Mm.
Just like keeps the pimp hand strong. You know, but even still, that doesn't make it a familiar because it's not
True.
intelligent. I will say Adam's family values to this day, and I don't know why
Oh
it's so
my God.
ridiculous. When Thing is trying to say something to Gomez, and he's like, "Slow down, man! I can't understand when you stutter."
Yeah. I have gone on record saying that I enjoy the second movie more than the first, but I still love them both dearly.
The second movie's better than the
It's
first,
so
which is a
damn good.
rare
It's
achievement.
so
Yes.
damn good.
Mhm.
Also, the temptation I have right now to just completely wipe out my Twitter bio and just replace it with sentient hand sandwich. Brian Cortijo says, my spider familiar is known as 8 helping fingers. Evil Emperor Zerg hand drew the crawling claw. I don't know. There might be context to that I'm forgetting. I apologize. My brain is bleh.
Is there a crawling claw familiar in Idle Champions?
Oh. Mars says I think they said it was Polton's friend. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Polton had this dead hand that was constantly crawling after him. I forgot about that.
Like the Terminator.
Greach 00, a familiar dying used to be a big deal, like you lost a permanent hit point.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It was a permanent drawback if your familiar died. But that was also back in the days when you had 1d4 hit points and 2 spells and good luck.
Ooh.
You know, and it's like
Ooh.
if you you basically had to survive 6 months of torment and then you were God. Like if you made it, you were like, guess what? I'll never lose again ever. But yeah, but it was a rough road.
Foolish Genius 89 question. My character is a Yuan-Ti who used to be a witch's snake familiar. Any advice role playing from a familiar's perspective?
I would. I mean, there's obviously the immediate gags of like thinking you can fit places you can't.
Yes.
But also maybe it's the growth of not needing to be ordered around anymore. Like at first you need someone to tell you what to do. Like whenever something happens, you're like looking for external guidance that you come into being your own person, up to and including if you ultimately have to face the witch. That'd be super dope, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the thing to tap into is, do you ever have a job, especially when you were young and you were like a little like, I belong to this company, we're a team, and you get a little like the place I work is like a family, and then you get laid off or fired, or you just realize, no, actually that's not how it works, and then you're really grumpy about it. Like that's what I would tap into.
I love that. I love that a lot. I also like the idea that for the first little bit, they just constantly are like, oh, no, it's okay. I'll go in there. But you're going to get killed. No, it's fine. I just go back to my pocket dimension. No, you don't.
I
think that'd be kind of funny. Rex Verde, question, is the Avernus accent a bridge and tunnel accent, or is it a Long Island to Jersey accent?
Not gonna lie, I can't parse the two. Yeah.
What's funny is I almost asked that question when you all were talking about it.
I will say, again, on invitation to party, Cassim tried to parse an Australian and a New Zealand accent. I was like, no, I'm not here. I can't. Yeah, no. It's just I can barely do either, much less both differently. Yeah.
Have you
I comprehend they're not the same thing. My mouth doesn't comprehend that they're not the same thing.
I can't remember the person's name and what YouTube channel it is, but my wife and I have watched several episodes of this guy that just analyzes accents in movies and talks about how the accent is formed in the mouth and like kind of rates different actors on it. Some of them are great. Like when someone comes in with a terrible accent, he goes, okay, we're just going to move on to how this accent should be. Cassie's 335 question: where, if anywhere, do sidekicks fit in on the familiar discussion? Kind of an interesting idea.
I don't think sidekicks have to obey you.
Well, I think more of like, could
for
you
starters.
do a sidekick as a familiar? Like, could
I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on what aspects of a sidekick we're talking about, because a sidekick is usually more comparable to where you, the primary hero, are at, right? They're sort of more like a squire or an apprentice or an intern.
And yeah, which are highly expendable. And things get increasingly wonky with that whole free will thing. Like, you know, like kind of nobody bats an eye when the closet must obey you, but when the dwarf must obey you, and then you're like, take this.
Oh
Greek
yeah,
fire over
no,
there.
I don't.
It starts getting.
Yeah, that'd be a little weird. Yeah,
you know,
that's fair. Also, several people in the chat, including Lauren, said the guy's name is Eric Singer on YouTube, and yeah, I highly recommend those videos. They're fantastic.
Let me tell you something, dear friends, though. If you're thinking about using accents at your table and you're afraid that you're not good at it, I got good news for you. If you're really bad at Australian accents, there is no Australia in D&D.
Yes.
That's what people where the place you're from sound like now.
We,
you know?
We had a joke during my original Star Wars game that Rhodians, when they spoke Basic, was Russian. And one of my friends who was playing a Rhodian did an amazing Russian accent, and mine was not great. And one of the players decided to point that out one time. I went, good thing that doesn't exist in Star Wars. And he can sound however the hell I talk like.
Actually, my accent's perfect. His is terrible.
Yeah. You're like, Rhodey has a big planet. You know what I mean? That's
that too. You're like, that's a West Rhodian accent.
Yeah,
West Rhodian.
I remember the West Side.
Oh my God.
I remember during Man of Steel, because you know the female Kryptonian was French.
Yeah.
People were like, why does she talk different than the rest of them? I'm like, it's a whole planet.
Yeah.
She's from the southern hemisphere, Krypton. There you go.
Bananas, they're speaking the same language. Like
my favorite one by far.
You're asked, like, is it a Vernus accent, Bridge and Tunnel, or Long Island? Like, those are right next to each other. Right? That yet you can say this or this.
Yep. My oh, totally lost the thing I was gonna say. Whatever.
Sorry.
No.
You're gonna get it back at 2 a.m.
Exactly. Doctor Who has my favorite one with Christopher Ellickson, where he's like, why do you talk like you're from the north? Lots of places have a north.
Lots of places have a north. Yep. Lots of places have a north. Yep. Also, he's been speaking Gallifreyan this entire time, which also makes me feel pretty good.
Lurking Rider with the last question we got here. Question: what CR would a honey badger or a golden eagle be? Golden eagles being one of the few animals that can basically ignore the shenanigans of honey badgers.
Like a honey badger, theoretically, is like a CR 1/2 to 1, but practically it's CR 12 because honey badgers are indestructible. Yeah,
they don't give an F.
They don't. They don't give a PG-13. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, well, I think that is a good place to wrap up today. Friends, where can people find you and what awesome things you're working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can join me on Mondays for Concentration Check, co-writing space on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers. That's at 1:30 Pacific. Come and get some work done with me. You can also join me on Wednesdays. That's today at 6:30 on the same channel, twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers for Dungeon Scrawlers, an actual play show with a bunch of fantasy writers. And I guess we have a couple of familiar things. I don't think no, one of them is an actual familiar. The Tressum.
Ooh, I love
Excuse
that.
me.
And what?
Do you all scrawl in a dungeon or do you crawl through multiple dungeons? I'm not clear on the name.
It's cause we're writers. It's a pun. Dungeon scrawlers sounds like crawlers. Did you just get that?
No, I'm just messing with you. I super got
Okay,
it like
I
the
was
very
like,
first time.
no way.
Yeah.
It's the.
Right.
It is. Yep.
Also
I don't
legally-
have feelings about puns.
Very distinct from the WizKids board game.
Oh, that's fun.
Hmm.
He came first.
Yes.
Anyway, it is a cute board game, and you can listen to me and B Dave and Trevor on our podcast, writing about dragons and shit.
Yeah, new episode went up today. I did it.
Hey.
I made sure.
Good
Yay.
job. You're so good. You're just so quick with those.
You did it good. You did it good. It's yeah. I was about to say something that I'm not going to confess on the internet. Hi, Peter Walters. I don't confess to things on the internet. You can find me wherever fine streaming content can be located. Black Dice Society, 4:00 Thursdays Pacific. Invitation to Party, 3 p.m. On G4, Twitch, and YouTube on Fridays, and Mondays at 3 o'clock on television on G4. And again, just all over the place, bunch of different things. Just follow me on the tweetagrams at @BDaveWalters to find out where I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at the Treavor. There is an A hiding in there. You can find all the way too many podcasts that I do on there. And you can also find me anywhere the Idle Champions community is. Thank you to Mars for moderating the chat and doing a fantastic job, and thank you to Codename Entertainment for letting us have some fun, talk about some D&D. If you missed any part of this show, you can catch it later on your favorite podcast service. Later on, maybe not too. Maybe we'll see what time it gets out there. And for those of you who are listening via podcast, don't forget that you can write in with topic suggestions to championsoflore@codenameentertainment.com for any kind of Idle Champions lore you want to hear us talk about. Let's see what we got today. We got Mars' Guiding Hand at 1, and then we've got Sketching Hour at 3, so be sure to come back and check those out for fun times. But that is going to do it for this week's episode, so until next week, Champions out.